Norway is divided into 20 counties. 2 of these are North and South Trøndelag. Agriculture and forestry are the most important means of livelihood for the people who live there, though industry too plays a large part in the economic life of the 2 counties. In area, they extend over 16,000 square miles, and their population numbers 320,000. In South Trøndelag lies the city of Trondheim, a principal trading port on the Trondheim fjord, and in former times a royal seat. Good roads connect with Sweden across the eastern border. Let's see where they and other roads may lead us. A few miles from the Swedish border lies the village of Meråker. The smelting works there demonstrates the importance to Norway of our cheap electric power. The raw materials are brought all the way from India and Africa, and the finished products are exported to countries on the continent and to the United States. This road through the Stjørdal Valley was opened in 1958. Sweden helped to finance its construction, which has simplified the transport of goods to and from Sweden through ports in the Trondheim fjord. It is a good example of Scandinavian cooperation. These rock carvings were recently uncovered at Hegra. They are believed to be the largest find of this sort in the north. Here at Storvika we meet the Trondheim fjord, today a serene and peaceful summer idyll. From the main road, National Highway 50, we take a by-road westwards to a fertile peninsula which juts out into the fjord. Here is one of the best-known historical parts of Trøndelag, Frosta, the old court of assizes from the age of the sagas. The jurisdiction of this court in Trøndelag and neighbouring counties was in force until late in the 13th century. The church of Lågtun now stands on the ramparts of the old court. The district around Levanger possesses the best agricultural land in Trøndelag. In the last century, Levanger was a well-known marketplace, where large numbers of merchants from Sweden also traded. This road crosses the border into Sweden. This was the way the Christian king St. Olaf came on his return from exile to fight the decisive battle between Christianity and paganism in the year 1030, here at Stiklestad. The king fell, but Christianity triumphed. Here stood the old pagan sacrificial temple of Mere, where in pre-Christian times sacrificial offerings were made in summer, autumn and winter. The most refractory of the local farmers persisted with these sacrifices to heathen gods long after Christianity had been brought to Norway. Only when their obstinacy had cost them their heads was this particular paganism stamped out. In the midst of these thriving villages lies the town of Steinkjer. This was almost completely destroyed by bombing during the war. 240 houses out of 330 were reduced to ruins. Now the town has been rebuilt with modern commercial buildings in the center and comfortable dwellings on the outskirts. Now we drive into the Namdal Valley and up to the villages by the Swedish border. The Namdal Valley is famous for its hunting and fishing. The annual elk hunt attracts large numbers of huntsmen both from at home and abroad. These hawk fledglings are not exactly meek and mild. When mother comes home with the dinner, they don't wait to say grace. In Namdal, streams, rivers and lakes abound with fish. Many rivers run into the Limingen Lake and trout rise willingly. Specimens like this gladden the hearts of both angler and diner. Our route now takes us past the Trøndelag Lake, the reservoir for the largest of the power stations which it is planned to build up here. The Skuravast mines. This mining town was built after the war. The pyrites are transported by funicular railway to the port of shipment by the fjord. The Namsos River is one of the best in the country for salmon. Englishmen especially have always been keen anglers here. The biggest salmon was caught in 1923. It weighed 69.5 pounds. At the mouth of the river Namsos is the town of Namsos, also bombed during the last war and now rebuilt. Namsos is best known for its timber trade. To the northwest of Namsos, a multitude of small islands stretch out to the sea. Those nearest the mainland are fertile and have enough soil to support trim little farms. But as we progress farther and farther out, conditions become more barren and exposed. Røros is a charming little coastal village alongside the shipping lane. Here on the out islands, the curlew makes its nest and hatches its young. Directly west of Namsos, there are no sheltering skerries. The Atlantic itself rolls inwards and beats against the coast. Malm is a modern mining community by the Trondheim fjord. From here, the road winds across to the Fosen Peninsula. Lady Inger of Åstad is the title of one of Ibsen's historical plays, and this is Åstad, the former site of Lady Inger's residence, surrounded by the exposed plains of Erlandet. The Renaissance castle we see here was built after Lady Inger's residence had been pulled down. Only the tower of Lady Inger's chapel was preserved and included in the new building. From Vanvika we take the ferry across the fjord to Trondheim, but we shall not stop to see the town yet. We must first see a little more of South Trøndelag, in other words, to the mountains again along Highway 50. One of the places in Trøndelag best known to tourists is Oppdal, at the gateway to the high mountains. The cable lift was erected a few years ago and is in use summer and winter. From Oppdal, it is not very far to the heart of Trollheimen, the home of the trolls, some of the wildest mountain territory in Norway. A good road leads up to this mountain lodge, and cairned footpaths link the tourist huts, making it simple for hikers to find their way and get the best out of their tour. In the Drivdal Valley too, the terrain is wild and rugged. The track follows the river to begin with, then coils its way upwards. In olden times, the path climbed the precipitous Varstigen, and we can sympathize with the Danish king, who at this point dismounted from his horse to crawl on all fours. These musk deer, imported from Greenland, seem to thrive in their new surroundings. Behind Kongsvoll mountain lodge looms the Knutshø mountain, which botanists believe to have lain bare during the last ice age. Many rare plants have been discovered here in the course of the years. Snøhetta, which with its 7,500 feet is the highest top in the Dovre Mountains, lies just outside the boundary of South Trøndelag in Oppland County. This is the kingdom of the wild reindeer. Life is a struggle here, the more so if there are ravenous youngsters like these to be fed. Just as well that Mother Hen Harrier is an expert mouser. This is a hedge sparrow. A jacksnipe, a blue throat, and a dotterel. The mountain town of Røros is one of the strangest towns in Europe. Individual parts have not changed noticeably during the 300 years the town has existed. The small, weather-beaten brown and grey houses huddle round the big church as if seeking warmth and protection one from another against the bitter winds which sweep across the mountain plateau in winter. Touches of colour have been added to the town in recent years, but there's a marked contrast between it and the modern tourist hotel perched up on the hillside. From Røros, a fine road leads over to Sweden through the border village of Brecken. From this point, we find our way to the valley of Tydal, through country which no angler could hope to see bettered. Stop here, on with waders and into action with a fly rod. We cross the watershed and arrive at Styggesjø. It was a little farther north, nearer the Sulene mountains, that the Swedish General Armfeldt lost over half his army in a tragic retreat in 1718. His men froze to death in a terrible blizzard. This general takes precautions. The crane simply takes his whole family off to Africa when the autumn storms begin to harry the mountains. Storsulen, 5,078 feet high. This is Östby in the Tudal Valley, where the Swedish general took his ill-fated army into the mountains. But we shall follow the river Nea, which takes us to a more friendly landscape, to the district around the 20-mile-long lake Selbu. And here we are, back on Highway 50, alongside the Trondheim fjord. Bathing places are numerous, but this one is the most popular. Tents can be seen here from early in June until well into August. Swedish tourists in particular are attracted to this spot. The city of Trondheim was founded by the Viking king Olaf Tryggvason in the year 997. In the 12th century, work was begun on the cathedral, which today is Norway's national shrine and has the reputation of being the most beautiful building in the north. A great deal yet remains to be done before the cathedral is fully restored after its destruction in the Middle Ages by fire and other disasters. Trondheim is also the home of Norway's Technical University. The city has many fine hotels. Out in the fjord, a mile or so north of the harbour, is the Munkholmen fortress. In the age of the sagas there was a gallows hill here, and in the Middle Ages a monastery. Now it is the treasured goal of visitors. From the centre of Trondheim, it is only 15 minutes' drive up to the Leirfoss waterfall, or to the ski lodge near Gråkallen. Here we see King Olav and his family being greeted by school children one brilliant summer day at the end of June 1958. After he had received the ceremonial blessing of the church in the Cathedral of Trondheim. The river Nid flows in a broad arc south of the old town. The wide and lovely bridges and the old wharves tell of a town growing and developing and rich in commercial and maritime traditions. Our journey is over, but Trondheim and Trøndelag deserve more than one visit, and will bid you welcome if you care to come again.